want to start out with this video reminding everybody to hit the subscribe down below. Go through my channel, check out all the other videos I've got posted. I've got lots of them coming up. Got a bunch of series I'll be doing. This one I wanted to touch more on a best practice for backups. A lot of businesses should be already doing this type of a backup where you have your backup in one location and you have it in another location. Physical separate locations. This is always best practice for any kind of backup. Especially for home users. I will repeat that again. Especially for home users. Because that's where you have people that have administrative access that should not have administrative access, that can actually delete things they should not. I will create a video on this subject too, about making sure you have a separate admin account and separate user account. You can have separate multiple user accounts, or you can generate one user account. There's a whole lot of reasons for this. It is a very important subject. So I will be creating a video on that. But for this video is about backup. Backup is super critical. You don't necessarily have to do a full system backup. You basically want to back up all your truly critical information, things that are truly important to you and to others in your household or whoever uses that system. Things like, you don't really need to do a full backup with your whole Windows installation and all your software. Of course, if you're into gaming, you want to make sure you have a backup of all your data, because your data that is stored on that system, on that hard drive, that you may have played a game for 100 hours or 1,000 hours to get to a certain location, to a certain rating, to a certain critical mass, or whatever you want to call it. And a lot of times, a lot of that data is stored on your computer. Even though you may go online to play, you may have an online account, you may have some kind of domain, some kind of game share, something that you link to, your data is on that tower. Again, you want to make sure you do backups. Now, the ultimate question is, how often do you want to do that backup? My recommendation, you want to do a full system backup every week. Windows has the features to do a backup. One thing I have been implementing is a backup on a lot of systems that I have been working on. I believe it's Windows 7, around that time, they implemented a backup feature where you can set it. You can say run weekly, run by month, run on the first, you tell it what you want to run, how you want to back up, it'll back up. If you have a full tower, you should have no problem putting in a secondary drive. It does not need to be a massive 10 terabyte drive. You want to make sure you have some kind of backup. This is really a critical thing that I know a lot of little businesses and a lot of other things are not doing. They believe it's not really that important until you have a major system crash. Then you get into data recovery. That's a huge cost if you send it out. There is software out there to do it for free. Problem is how much is your time worth? That's a critical point. I can go through and do a data recovery 3-4 hours, get all the data, get it back up, get the system running. But I've played with it, I've learned it, I know how to do it, I know what steps to do. Other second critical thing to that is sometimes it takes a whole lot longer. When you run that data recovery software, it may run for 2 or 3 days to pull up that data. Once you pull up that data, you need to put in a USB drive or a external drive that I will go through here in a little bit and copy that data over. That is more time that you're going to be used to move data over before you can even start rebuilding that system. It may have been simple OS crash. It could have been anything. Could be the hard drive actually failed. That is one of the major things that if it happens, you might not be able to data recover it. So I don't want you to think this is an easy fix. We can just do this, we can do that. If you're like people that I know that have 20 years of photos on your computer, you may want to back up just your photos. There's some really inexpensive, cheap ways to do it. The best solution I have found is you just buy a little cheap thing like this. I'm not recommending this brand. This is just a brand I bought. I've been playing with. So it's an enclosure case. It's not much to it. It's just a plastic case with a cable connector. If you have hard drives already, most IT people, most gamers, maybe most people at home nowadays have spare drives laying around. You can use those drives or even just go out and buy a USB drive to do what you need to do. Here's the thing. Like I said, you want to have multiple copies. You have your originals in your computer. If you put an additional drive on there and you back up those photos to that additional drive, I still recommend, for best practice, is you buy an external unit. I will explain why you want to have that external unit. It's very, very important to have that external unit. And you want it to be an independent unit, something that's separate, something that you don't have hooked to your system all the time. Because no matter how safe you really think you are, you can have a critical corruption of everything in your system. It's due to that power supply. If that power supply shorts or does something weird, it can actually burn out everything in your computer. Or it can burn out select items in your computer. So I don't really want to scare people. I don't want to terrorize people with this information, but this is truly information you need to know. Even if you have a laptop, you can buy externals. You can buy external drives all 100% put together at the big box stores out there on the street. Everybody has them. There's a reason why everybody has them. The reason why I like this case, I actually have one open. It actually has my old hard drive from my old computer. One that died. This hard drive still works. It still has all my data. This case just slides open. I really liked it. You slide the drive in, it locks in, it snaps down. You slide the case back in, and you can actually read what the drive is. If you happen to have a problem with the drive where you plug this in and it tells you it's a 500 gig hard drive and you know it's a terabyte, and you can verify that by just looking through the plastic. That's what I liked about this model, is you can actually see the drive. There's a lot of them that are solid enclosures that you can't see the drive. It's all the same functionality. Some people don't like to see this. They want it clean. They want, straight black. You can't see it. It blends in. You have the options. But I really thought this was cool because you can actually see the physical drive. When you get into as many as I have a stack of probably 50 of these. They're not the see-through drives. So I have to put a little tag on them, labeling this is a 50 gig, this is a 100 gig, this is a terabyte. It's nicer when I can actually see what drive it is, if it's a Samsung, Toshiba, if it's what speeds it's running at, if it's a 7500 or 7200 or a 5000 or whatever drive speeds there are. Some vary. Sometimes there's some off speeds that are out there. Same with the big drives. You can buy enclosures for these. Only thing I don't like about these is you have to have a separate power connector. You have your USB and a power connector. Only drawback of the little drives is size. These will be, I would have to say, ginormous nowadays. They're coming out with some sizes that I don't know if I have enough data with all my stuff in here and in there and in my back storage to even fill one of these newer style drives that are like 30 terabytes. They're coming out with some crazy numbers on these drives. If you bought something like that, you could back up a lot of data. Don't recommend it. I really don't. You want to back up your critical information. If you have a lot of photos and a lot of things, you can right click on the folder, go to properties, it'll tell you the size of all your data in that folder. You may have multiple folders. Click on them, add them up, you know what kind of space you're going to need. A lot of times you can use an older drive. A lot of these older laptops have terabyte drives. That's pretty good for a backup. You can go out to a big box store, get a 2 terabyte, 3 terabyte, 4 terabyte, 6 terabyte drive fairly cheap right now. Wanted to touch on that. But you can use this. When I talk about standalone independent, this would consider standalone independent, but you want to unplug it. Unplug the power, unplug the USB, and put it on a shelf. As you can see for this, it's independent. It's just sitting here. It's not being used. It's not plugged in. This is one of the key important factors to having a second location backup. You want it to be independent. You want it to be separate. Because the last thing you want to do is have that plugged in and someone's playing around on your computer and they start formatting. They start deleting. Oh, I don't want these photos. They start deleting. All of a sudden, all your stuff's gone and you left this plugged in. You have no other backup location. Take that out. Go put it in your safe if you want to. Go put it in your drawer, sock drawer, underwear drawer, whatever. Put it in another location. I've had people that I've made little drives like this into external drives that have really thanked me endlessly because they've used this, they backed up all their data, they had another backup or they had another way of doing what they were doing. accidentally lost all the data on their computer, all their photos, like 8-10 years worth of photos. Bloop, gone. Easy, simple recovery. Plug this in, click your folder, hit copy, go to the location, paste, let it do its thing. You have all your photos coming back. Since you copied them, you now have your 2 locations. Unplug that, put it back away. That is really one of the key critical informations that people need to do when they back up. I know there's not a lot of people still doing backups. There's a lot of negligence in this area. But, like I'm saying, even if it's once a month, back up that data. You want to back up your data to a second source that's independent than your computer. Unplug it, go put it away. I'm going to stress that a lot. Most businesses should be doing that too. If you're now working from home, that's important information, because, well, not even working from home. Nowadays, everybody's doing their own taxes. Everybody's doing their own finances. You may be booking hotel rooms and other things that may be related to your business or your job. Now that you're working at home, you need to keep all those things. So you go online, you buy a webcam, you have to buy speakers, maybe a bigger monitor. This is for your work. You need to keep those invoices. You know you need to keep those invoices. You need to submit them to your work. You need to keep those for tax purposes, maybe. You know, there's a lot of things that you may need to keep. It's also very nice to have that on a backup location. Second, you can use more than one. That is super critical. Let's say you have your photos on there. You back them up onto a drive. You put that away. Well, your work just decided to remote work you. You need to order all kinds of stuff. You order stuff. You need to keep records of it all. Don't put it on the same one as your photos. This is critical information to you. You have to remember that this is a very important information to you. If you really don't care about your photos and you posted them on your Facebook or whatever and you're done with them and you really just don't care, well, you're going to take the chance of losing them. It does not hurt to just do a secondary drive for your other documents. Not to mention, it makes it a lot easier when you go to try to recover the data you need to recover. If your computer crashes and completely burns, completely goes out, it's unrecoverable, you need to go out and buy a new system, let's say. A brand new computer, all the new bells and whistles all in that computer. It's easier to have multiple drives, because when you go to start that computer up, what are you going to need? Are you going to need your photos? Or are you going to need your business documents and everything else that you need that computer up and running for to get you back up and running? If you put all that stuff on one drive, you can oversaturate yourself. What do you need? What do you not need? Keep your business documents separate than your personal documents. I know in the line of work, I find that a lot, that there's business documents and personal documents all jumbled up and mixed. Um, it's best practice, keep them apart, keep them separated, because in case something would happen, like that computer would die, and your IT person, if you're in a business, remember, if your IT person comes in and changes your computer, he's going to need to move all that. You're going to have to explain to him where all that is. This isn't you going to be working on this system anymore. This is a third party person coming in to work on this system. So, cleanliness, organization, all these things are really critical when you do backups. Because it's not only the backup, it's the recovery, the restoration, the restore, the fixing of missing data. There's been times where people have lost 50 out of 100 work documents. And they have them scattered over folder over folder over folder. And we scratch our head like, how did you lose all these? How could you lose them over all this location? And it takes us days to pull out these files. So now this person that needs to be doing a job can't do a job because all these files are missing. So I really want to press that when you do backups, especially at home, save yourself the work and effort by keeping everything cleaned up and straight. Because if you don't, here's the other situation, is you think you have everything backed up. You may not. You may have documents in 2 or 3 other folders on that computer that you didn't realize your documents are in. When you log in, you have a user account. You have documents that go into that user account. There is also an admin account if you have a separate account. Those are 2 different places that documents can be stored. But wait, there's more.